Take a listen at the Malian government spokesperson Colonel Abdoulaye Maïga announced 4 serious measures that the government of Mali has taken in response to Ukraine's recent open support of Sahel terror groups that have been destabilizing the 3 Sahel countries of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, following the confessions that were made by Ukrainian authorities after the Tinzawaten attack that left dozens of Wagner and Malian soldiers dead. This is a press release that the government spokesperson read on the Malian National Television on August 4, 2024, and among the measures taken by Bamako against Kiev in addition to a warning that Ukraine will not go unpunished include cutting diplomatic ties with Ukraine, which means kicking out the Ukrainian ambassador from Bamako, designating Ukraine as supporter of international terrorism as well as designating support for Ukraine as support for international terrorism. On behalf of our highest authorities, I have the great honor of reading the government's press release number 068, the content of which is as follows. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali has learned with deep shock of the subversive remarks by which Mr. Andrei Youssef, spokesman for the Ukrainian Military Intelligence Agency, admitted Ukraine's involvement in a cowardly, treacherous and barbaric attack by armed terrorist groups that resulted in the death of elements of the Malian defense and security forces in Tinzawaten as well as material damage. These remarks were reinforced by Mr. Yuri Pivovarov, the Ukrainian ambassador to Senegal, who openly and unequivocally displayed his country's support for international terrorism, particularly in Mali. Worse, in their comments, these Ukrainian officials announced that other results are to come. These extremely serious statements, which have not been denied or condemned by the Ukrainian authorities, show clear official support from the Ukrainian government for terrorism in Africa, the Sahel and more specifically in Mali. After a careful examination of the situation, the transitional government of the Republic of Mali emphasizes that the actions taken by the Ukrainian authorities violate the sovereignty of Mali, go beyond the scope of foreign interference, which is already condemnable in itself, and constitute a clear aggression by Mali, support for international terrorism in flagrant violation of international law, including the responsibility of the United Nations. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali strongly condemns Ukrainian aggression and denounces this hostility by the Ukrainian authorities, contrary to the position of neutrality observed by Mali, which has always called for a peaceful settlement of the crisis between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. Furthermore, the transitional government of the Republic of Mali fully adheres to the diagnosis established by the Russian Federation, which has nevertheless warned the world for years about the neo-Nazi and villainous nature of the Ukrainian authorities, now allies of international terrorism, far from the aspirations of peace and stability of the Ukrainian people. Following the acknowledged and assumed involvement of Ukraine in the clear aggression of Mali, the transitional government of the Republic of Mali has decided on the following measures. 1. The immediate severance of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Mali and Ukraine, the latter whose destinies are unfortunately entrusted to puppets confusing the international scene with the stage. I repeat, 1. The immediate severance of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Mali and Ukraine, the latter whose destinies are unfortunately entrusted to puppets confusing the international scene with the stage. I repeat for the last time, 1. The immediate severance of diplomatic relations between the Republic of Mali and Ukraine, the latter whose destinies are unfortunately entrusted to puppets confusing the international scene with the stage. 2. The referral to the competent judicial authorities following the remarks of Mr. Andrei Youssef and Yuri Pivovarov, which constitute acts of terrorism and propaganda for terrorism. 3. Taking the necessary measures to prevent any destabilization of Mali from African states, particularly from Ukrainian embassies set up in the sub-region with terrorists disguised as diplomats. 4. Formally alerting regional and international bodies as well as states that support Ukraine by informing them that this country has openly and publicly displayed its support for terrorism. Consequently, Mali considers support for Ukraine as support for international terrorism. Mali calls on the international community to be responsible for Ukraine's deliberate choice to support terrorism in a global context where there is unanimity on the imperative to combat this scourge. Mali calls in particular on African states and peoples who are seized by peace to denounce its subversive actions that threaten the stability of the African continent. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali reiterates its thanks to the countries friendly to Mali that have shown their solidarity in the face of the terrorist attacks perpetrated with the assistance of foreign sponsors. The transitional government of the Republic of Mali notes that this aggression maintained by Ukraine is part of the broader pattern of certain actors who actively support and instrumentalize armed terrorist groups allied with rebel groups for hegemonic and neo-colonial purposes, and to break the dynamic of emancipation, reconquest of sovereignty and socio-economic development initiated by the Confederation of Sahel States. The acts of aggression in the UN to achieve their objective, on the contrary, strengthen the commitment and determination of Burkina Faso, the Republic of Mali and the Republic of Niger within the framework of the Confederation of Sahel States to continue with more vigor their resolute march towards strengthening sovereignty and taking control of their destiny for the happiness of the populations of the AES. Mali bows to the memory of all victims of insecurity in the Sahel and reaffirms that the crimes committed will not go unpunished. May God bless Mali and the AES, delivered in Bamako on August 4, 2024. Thank you for your very kind attention. It's to be noted that the Senegalese Foreign Ministry summoned the Ukrainian ambassador to Senegal due to his support for the Tuareg rebels after the Ukrainian embassy in Dakar published a video on its social media pages supporting the rebels in Mali. This was also after information emerging that Ukrainian instructors could have trained terrorists who attacked Russian and Malian military personnel.